Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 1 of the CBK Podcast, Certified Ball Knowers. I'm your co-host, Jason Snyder, a.k.a. 7, joined by my partner in crime, Niner. What's up, Ty? How we living?
We're living good, brother. Just soaking in the last week of college ball. Excited to talk today with you about all the things West Coast, and yeah, man, just happy to be here. Really,
it's a good time of year, man. I mean, we got ball back on the screen. It was a great weekend, and we appreciate everyone who listened last week and joined us for episode 0 of the CBK podcast. We got a lot of great feedback, a lot of good ideas that I'm sure we'll incorporate down the road. But really appreciate it. Can't do it without you. You know, that's what they say.
Jason, was one of the ideas to put an American flag behind your background? Because it was great.
Yeah, it was. I had a couple flags, couple different T-shirts. I was going to wear this one. I felt like complimented the Arizona pullover I got on Saturday at the game the best, and kind of popped with the logo on my hat. So I was feeling it, man. I was feeling it.
You're vibing. There's a lot of red, but not too much. Good contrast here.
Yeah.
And then I just went full send. Barbie, great movie.
Tell us you live in Colorado without telling us you live in Colorado. Sick sweatshirt, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'm pretty dope. I shred gnar, a lot of gnar. And yeah, it's just what I do.
Yeah.
But on my fit, real quick, I gotta tell you.
Well,
real quick.
Yeah.
I went with this hat. I had found this hat in my closet. This is a Arizona 1992 NCAA championships for golf, men's golf, paying on the side. Super clean. The reason it's not on my head, little worried about mold, to be honest.
Yeah.
This hat is about 32 years old. So I was a little worried about putting it on my head, but I had to just plug that. So sorry. I know I interrupted you.
No, that is I think as the kids call it, fire. Fire lid, my brother.
Fire flame.
Dope. Yeah, all those things. But no, the feedback was good. The only negative feedback I would say is a couple of our southern listeners kind of pointed to the fact that, acknowledging our West Coast bias, but then you could maybe acknowledge the SEC in the South a little bit more. And that feedback was taken to heart because we don't want to leave those folks out. They're important to this business, that we're running and kind of booming, quite frankly.
Huge.
But we thought about it. We did a lot of research in terms of, soul searching and thinking about how we can really acknowledge the South in this podcast the best. And we made the decision after talking to our camps, discussing, the two of us, journaling, that the way that we would honor the South is by hiring our cousin to be the producer. We know that you all down in the South show admiration a little bit differently for your cousins than we do on the West Coast.
That's right.
But admiration's admiration, and we don't want to discredit that. So we thought the best thing to do was to show admiration for our cousin Cole, who's going to be the new producer of the CBK podcast. Cole, how are we, sir?
Dude, we're so good. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Cousin love, right? Cousin love.
Yes, sir.
Cousin love would be the best way to really connect with the South. So welcome our Southern listeners. Thank you again for joining. Cole's going to be behind the scenes helping us with a lot of the clips and different things that we're doing on different social media platforms. So we appreciate you, and we're glad to have you. You're where does your fandom lie? I could tell the story, but let us know where you at.
Yeah. So fandom lies. Really, I've always been a West Coast kid. I've lived in Virginia the past 10 years, so I have the a very full understanding of the East Coast bias in sports, which is why I love what we're doing here to kind of bring more light to the teams that we grew up loving and watching.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep, Colorado Buffs fan. So
yes, sir.
We'll have plenty of that. So welcome aboard, my friend.
Yeah,
good
cheers,
to have
boys.
you. Cousin love. Cheers.
Hey.
Cheers. Drinking electrolytes.
You need those. Cool. Cheers.
So, how'd you spend your weekend, dude? How was week 1 of just a completely packed college slate of college football. How'd we spend our time?
There's one word to describe how we spend our time, and it's spelled. I'll spell it out for you. BALL.
Yeah.
Ball. And when I look
I
from,
was struggling.
I couldn't believe I spelled that right. Arizona education isn't as bad as some people say, but I did spell it right. Ball was the word of the weekend. Watch ball all day Saturday, of course. Sunday, we had the big game, USC LSU. Watched that game, and then on Monday night, we made a ton of money betting against DJU in Florida State. So we had a great weekend. Saturday was a blast. I didn't do a whole lot of nothing. I do have a 4-month-old, so I was present for my child. If my
perfect age to watch ball, though, dude. They don't do rip, and that allows you not to rip. Like, babe, I got him.
In mentioning that is more for my in-laws and my parents, if they're listening, that I am a present father. I didn't neglect my child for just ball. I was around for sure in the house where the baby was.
You're coaching him.
But we just ripped ball all weekend. It was glorious. Sunday night, ordered Thai food with some friends, watched USC whoop on LSU. It was great, man. No complaints. Couldn't have asked for a better week one.
I think Thai food when I think football food, it doesn't even fall in the top 30. I'm not hating on it, big Thai food guy, but just
I will highly recommend
wings, burgers. Fried.
I've been there, done that. I will say getting a mountain of pad thai and pad see ew on the little crab cream cheese wontons on the side while watching a West Coast team just out physical the SEC all night from start to finish. It was a glorious night.
Yeah, sounds nice.
I enjoyed it.
Sounds nice. I just think Colorado's maybe changed you a little bit, but
well, the problem with Colorado and
sweatshirt, Thai food during a football game, like what the hell are you doing, dude?
Yeah, don't hate on the sweatshirt. This thing's fire. It's very comfortable, by the way. Very, very comfortable. Here's the problem with Colorado, if you let me rant real quick. Colorado's food scene is pretty garbage. Anybody that lives in Colorado, been to Colorado, or formerly lived here, pretty garbage. Like, you're talking chains or you're talking upscale sit-down restaurants. That's where you want to go. That kind of in-between is lacking. And the reason the in-between is lacking is because there's not a whole lot of culture here in Colorado. I'll leave it at that. So we did find a great Thai spot by our house. Very, very good. Enjoyed it.
A lot of golden doodles in Colorado. We'll just put it that way.
A lot of golden noodles. I own one for sure. I do. Penny. Shout out Penny. But yeah, I will. For everyone out there, though, don't sleep on like a hearty Thai food. Thai food, I agree. Pizza, wings, whatever. There's the traditional, but Thai food is a gutty, fatty, fantastic carby, if you will.
Yeah.
Carby.
Yeah.
Great.
It's in the right lane. It's in the right lane. It's just like pretty low on that list in terms of. No, I'm not.
Have you tried it? No. Have you tried it?
Not for a football game. I love Thai food, but just I'm not. LSU USC on. I don't think to crush like a chicken pad Thai. But maybe
chicken
I will.
Pad Thai and then a beef pad see ew.
Maybe I will.
No, okay. Before the season is over, try it for a night of college football or NFL football. Just do it. I think you'll enjoy it more than you think.
When you come down for the homecoming for the Zona game on Sunday, maybe we'll do pad Thai and NFL Red Zone.
Sign me up. Let's do
one blanket.
It's been our whole life.
Snuggle time.
I would want it any other way. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, I did have pizza and hot dogs and good deli board sandwich on Saturday watching the game. I did spend my time Saturday morning at a 4-year-old birthday party in 103-degree weather at a park, which if you have a fall birthday for one of your kids, you're running a birthday party. If it's not, it can't be at a park, especially in Phoenix in August or early September. What are we doing?
No.
We need to be inside
Nope.
at a Chuck E. Cheese, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be at the bar with the other fellas, and we'll be talking about what action we got while we hold one of our kids, and we're doing our part. But we can't be doing outdoor. I can't be watching, Clemson, Notre
Georgia.
Dame. Yeah, Clemson, Georgia, and Notre Dame A&M. No, that was a 4:30 game. So it was the Clemson, Georgia game. I was watching on my phone. It was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that, and then I headed down to Tucson with my parents to go to the Wildcats game. We'll be talking a little bit about that in a sec. But shout out to 10 real quick. We mentioned her at the beginning, kind of why we're here, last week in terms of our mother. But she offered to drive my truck so me and my dad could watch ball while we had.
That's a good woman.
A great woman.
Good woman.
So shout out. That was huge. We had the iPad rocking with the hotspot, and we were just on the 10, baby, just heading south. Little Zach Bryan shout out there. But no, it was good. We went to a tailgate with some friends and crushed some sandwiches, went to the game, and it's good to be at a college football game again, man. I'll tell you. There's nothing like it. It was fun. I think Dad, we walked past his dorm for probably the 200th time in my life, and he was like, "Did you know I lived there?"
Yeah.
Like, no, Father, you've never told me that.
Did he tell you the story about how that was the dorm they used during COVID to test? Yeah, he told you that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he hit all the go-tos.
Yep. Okay.
And I told him that I called him out a little bit, but in like a way, I told him I never want that to stop. Like, I never want it to stop.
No,
because I just love it. And he's like a little kid on Christmas, man. Just back on campus. So it was fun. So with that, speaking of the Cats, let's start there.
Well, I actually want to start with you. You tailgated, you went to the game.
Yeah.
How were the vibes?
Yeah, I actually responded to one of the Tucson Twitter pages today that asked the same question with my advice. So I'm kind of prepared to answer this question. Vibes were great. Zona Zoo was packed early. That's rare to see week one in Tucson. It's hot, but I'll tell you, we had a little bit of a storm beforehand, brought a little rain. I think we were in like 93 kickoff. It was unbelievable. It's a little cloud cover. Vibes are good. The thing that we need to address vibes-wise is we just need to make upgrades to that stadium. The sound system is abysmal. I think I could buy like 2 JBLs from Target and link them up and be better. Like, it's brutal. You can't hear the ref. You can't hear the announcer.
DJ. Don't forget the DJ.
Yeah, I mean, like, you watch some, we want to compete. We have the talent to do so, but we know in this new era, like, you got to have like the non-football stuff, right? And I think that the passion in Tucson's there. Tucson showed up definitely because that team came back, right? We talked about that, but those kids supporting Tucson, that's always been my affinity for Tucson, is that it's always meant family to me. That was where we would go visit grandma and grandpa. Yep. That's where Pops went. That's where we'd go to Ludos and basketball camps. It's family. And when that boy left, and I'm calling him a boy because he's a child, and those kids decided to stay, Tucson notices that, and that's a win that, quite frankly, like, as a city, doesn't come around often. Mm-hmm. And then to see those guys, in particular T-Mac and Fafita, ball out like they did, it was like, I think before the game, me and 2-1 were talking about how, like, it was just kind of like calm. And I think a lot of us in the Wildcat community are just, since January, it's just been a little bit of a drag. Like, it's been
we're used to being let down in the football for sure. So I think it's trying not to get our hopes up, right?
But, yeah.
Well, basketball, at least we're winning conference titles.
Just the emotional roller coaster of the football offseason. I think everyone was just ready and to put that behind, because it was, months of, is this guy going to leave? Who's going to be our coach? Who's going to be our DC? Months. Who's going to be this? Oh, transfer portal opened again. And then we have the second window of transfer portal, which just is wild as a concept in general. But we got, It was great, man. It was great. They just got to we need some donors to come in. I don't know.
And where are your season tickets? Are you on the west side or east side?
East side in the section above the Zona Zoo.
So that's the area they've made renovations to. In my opinion, we sat against Utah last year. We sat on the west side. The urinals have got to be there for 40 years. I mean, they have to make west side improvements. That's where the boxes are as well. It's terrible over there.
And the lighting too. They, you want to do like light shows and like whatever
fireworks, pyrotechnics.
So the vibe needs to be improved. Obviously, that's what blanking on our new AD Desiree. She did that at Mizzou. That was one of her campaign notes for the job was that hopefully she can help us renovate the stadium. So I think that would help drastically because from a atmosphere, people, it was great. It was great.
And you hit on it, right? Like the beauty of Tucson, we'll get into the game, but the beauty of Tucson is that it actually operates very differently than most West Coast cities, right? If you think of Seattle, you think of Salt Lake City, you think of LA, you think of the Bay Area. Those are pretty big metropolitan areas that have a lot to do, right? Like they have pro sports, they have
shows coming to town,
they have shows, they have concerts, whatever. Tucson has that a little bit, but they operate a little bit more like a traditional Big 12 or SEC school where it's like the only game in town is the Arizona Wildcats.
Yep.
And I know our football team hasn't been there for a while, and we're building that. I'm hopeful, and this is just a hope. I'm hoping that even the Zona Zoo, man, like Twitter was popping off. I wasn't at the game, but you were texting me and saying that the Zona Zoo was really solid. I'm hoping that the Zona Zoo is now, if you're a junior or a sophomore or freshman, Arizona football to be pretty good, right? Like the Sumlin era is behind you. So if you're coming in as a freshman or if you're a sophomore, you experienced the 11-win season last year, and then you're now like you're like, hey, this is what we do. So I'm hoping that continues, and it's a good sign that high 90s, low hundreds, first game of the year against New Mexico, and we had a good showing for the Zona Zoo. I'm hoping that just continues as we get into conference play.
Yep, me and you both. Well, so let's break it down. I mean, 61-39, we get the W. How we feeling? How we feeling about the Cats?
In the middle of the game, my reaction is always emotional. That's just the type of guy I am. I think after the game, there are still some doubts. Don't get me wrong. Like I have my questions, but I got to start with the good, right? The good was our offense looked pretty dialed in. We played a ton of offensive linemen, rotated guys, different spots. Rhino got nicked up, so we had to move Jonah to left tackle. But we ran the ball okay. And then if New Mexico wants to single cover the best player in America and Tetairoa McMillan, then we should exploit that all day. So I was pleased with the offense. Wild
by Brocco Mendenhall to just continue to roll out. He was in his post game. He said they tried everything defensively.
Maybe in the third quarter they started to try something, but like the whole first half, it was like, you're really going to single cover this guy?
Yeah, he had all his stats through like halfway through the third quarter. I mean, there was a point in time early in the second quarter, I think. It was after T-Mac's probably second touchdown. 2-1 looks at me and he goes, we're going to look back on this in 20 years as the T-Mac game. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. The guy wasn't even getting touched. I know the kid fell down on the first touchdown, but
sure,
that move, that route he had where he kind of did the stutter back out. I mean, I don't care if it's New Mexico State or Georgia. Like, that kid is the best wide receiver in America. And I don't think it really matters who's there because he could probably play in the league right now. Like, maybe he needs a little bit of weight, but
I don't think so.
Clocked at 22 miles per hour. Like
2021. He was clocked last year at 22. But what we didn't see last year that you're hitting on is that yak, right? Like he had an unbelievable year last year, and we're not even criticizing him. But this year, it's almost like, if you're going to give him a step or two, he could run away from you. And that's scary. He is 6'5", 212 pounds. Dude put up 10 catches for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. And don't forget, Jason, don't forget 7. Don't forget, he was 1 yard away from a 5th touchdown there in the third quarter. He should have had it. He actually, he juked out a couple guys. It was the hurdle. He hurdled at like the 4 and it slowed him down. If he would have just kept running, he would have had 5 touchdowns and we would, but I mean,
even to think about doing that little hurdle, knowing a guy's probably diving at your ankles is like, I'm probably like just, going fanboy over a 20-year-old, and that's fine. Fully understand. But like, you don't see a lot of kids doing that. Like,
no.
So I don't know. He's unreal, man. He's one National Player of the Week, AP, everything across the board. And the recognition comes in week 1 after he spent most of the last 3 months dealing with.
And as a West Coast podcast, Seven, I think it's great that the national media is finally recognizing him as a top player in college football. You and I could have told everyone in the national media, though, last year that he was a top player in college football. If this kid was at Ohio State or Michigan or Alabama, there's no way people would just be finding out about him in his junior year. I mean, the kid is insane. And this is part of the problem. It's like, how are you just finding out about this guy? Yes, he had insane stats this weekend, but he did whatever he wanted against Oklahoma last year. He's making insane catches against USC last year. He's coming up in the biggest moments consistently, time after time. And I just can't believe, like, I like the national attention that he's getting right now. I just can't believe it's taking this long. It's mind-boggling.
So our friends over at Fox Sports, couple folks, RJ Young and Michael Cohen, who obviously know nothing, ranked the top college football wide receivers a couple weeks ago, heading into the season. Preseason.
Yep.
And they had Mbuke from Ohio State at 1. I know that he was banged up a little bit, 500 yards receiving last year. He had 1,000 yards the year before. But to your point, you put him on Ohio State. If that's flipped, if Mbuke's on Arizona and has the same stat line heading into this season, is he even top 5?
Right. No. And Mbuke's put him 500 against Northwestern, Rutgers, and Minnesota. So, you know, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And to your point, I think you're implying this, but if T-Mac was in Ohio State and he had the numbers he had last year, he would be preseason ranked on every syndication, every media outlet, every single content creator as the number 1 wide receiver in the nation. It wouldn't even be close.
Mbuke's best year was 1,041 yards. T-Mac had 1,400 yards last year.
Yeah.
And he's ranked 3rd on this list.
And
that's type of disrespect. And then it's like, have you heard about this kid?
Yeah.
Like, did you wake up yesterday, dude? Like,
or
thanks
the classic,
for joining the rest, half the country.
My personal favorite, he plays in a real conference. The Pac-12 last year was the second best conference by far.
Yeah.
By far. Like, he's balling out. Like, Oregon State had a great defense. UW had a good defense. He balled out. Like, stop. Like,
as a conference. As a
conference. It's like
bottom. Yeah.
The fact that this guy is even, and I'll even say this too, like Mbuke, that's crazy. That guy had Mbuke as number 1. A lot of publications or whatever you want to call it had Luther Burden as number 1. Luther's great.
Yeah.
Nothing against Luther. He's going to be a 10-year pro. T-Mac is so much better than him.
Yeah.
Like, why is this even an argument?
I'm calling this now for T-Mac. The U of A is going to have the only 2 athletes ever that played a Power 4 professional sport and then went on to play Olympic beach volleyball. Tedero McMillan will go back after his NFL career for a Manhattan Beach, coached by Richard Jefferson and Luke Walton and Chase Budinger as his coaches, and he will compete in the 2040 South American Games. I don't know.
He'll be 36, 37. Yeah. I didn't know Luke Walton and Chase Budinger were volleyball coaches, but I like where your head's at.
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys just like hang out.
Richard Jefferson and they're just vibing. They're going to just all practice beach volleyball together.
I think they're coffee shop to the beach volleyball, join a podcast, do a reel with Matt Leinart or TikTok, and then go home. And I would trade lives with any of them. Like, that sounds awesome.
All 3 of those men had successful careers in their professional sports of choosing, and they're still all studs. They could all still play. They could still all play whatever they wanted. Yeah.
It's very, very annoying. Very annoying. Yeah. No.
Well, and what we're talking please.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I mean, the telepathy of identical twins is tough. We're going to interrupt each other a lot. But what I wanted to ask you, we talked a lot about the offense. I think we're avoiding it a little bit. Let's talk defense here. What do we see on Saturday night against New Mexico?
Man, I think first thing I just have to level set in my brain that this is a different coaching staff, and I can't expect things to look the same. I think from a defensive perspective, I thought it was going to look eerily similar to last year, which is a good thing, especially like how we ended the season.
Sure, absolutely.
Because Akina, I think we all thought was like the pseudo, behind the scenes DC kind of making a lot of the moves. We'll see. I still think that he's one of the best coaches in America. He's never afraid to. He doesn't die on like a take or a hill. Like he's willing to try things, play the matchups. Yeah. We saw it last year against
Wazoo.
When we played Wazoo, we brought in the kid, 44. He hadn't played
Utah
really.
Transfer. Yep.
Yeah, he didn't play much all year from a defense. He was a special teams guy, and they were like, "Hey, you're gonna spy the shit out of Cam Ward this entire game." And we beat him 49-10 or 42-10, whatever it was. So I'm not. I worry. I worry from a coaching perspective. Like Brent after the game said, like, "Oh, the tackling was poor because we didn't really go live that much in the offseason."
Right. Yep.
That's chicken shit. Like that you're playing football. Like I know you have hours that you can only hit for so many hours. There's all these rules and stuff, but that statement to me clearly comes across that he was like we were less than that, and it showed. Like we had dudes like the core of that defense outside, like the core that middle part from Stukes, Johnson, Maldonado, and Manu came back. That's the inside out, Desert Swarm defense, whatever you want to call it, where those guys are kind of just making a lot of tackles. And they did. Dalton Johnson balled out. But like Manu had a lot of missed tackles. I felt like our D-line was very wasn't a lot of separation in between like them and the O-line. Like we weren't getting a push. It almost felt like we were trying to set the line rather than trying to attack. And I know we talked about that this weekend, where in the offseason, what did Akina say about?
Akina's been very vocal about not having a different philosophy of last year, where it's like we're not going to just set the line of scrimmage. We're going to be upfield attacking in the quarterback. So I think that was a little disappointing to hear what Akina thought, like from a philosophical perspective. And then we had 0 sacks. 0 sacks.
I know the kid's fast, but you can't have 0 sacks against New Mexico, especially when you play 13. It's not like the guys were tired. We had 13 different dudes who saw the field at D-line.
And shout out to that New Mexico quarterback. Super athletic, really, really quick. He got out of a couple sacks. Don't get me wrong, like threw it away. A couple that should have been intentional grounding. And Trey Smith did have he had 6 QB hurries. I think he was tied for 3rd in the country. So I read, you see that after the game, you're kind of like justifying in your head, right? You're like, all right, maybe they're not
trying to find positive.
Yeah, there's something there. I think I'm not as worried with the D line, and to what you said about Brent saying, we didn't tackle a lot in the spring. Or in the fall and in the spring. Like, I agree. Like, I acknowledge that. Like, I know how that works, right? Like, like, okay, you have limited hours, all that. The problem I have with that is just, it's an excuse. It's like, well, I watched a lot of good ball. Like, USC and LSU this weekend had no problem tackling. Like,
tackled.
They tackled. Like, they were ready to play a physical game. And we had a lot of missed tackles from the linebacker position, definitely the safeties, the entire secondary. And New Mexico was trying to get the ball out quick, right? Like they were doing a lot of quick stuff. So our defensive line, that's where I give our defensive line a little bit of slack as well. But Takario had a bunch of missed tackles. Manu had a bunch of missed tackles. Tate Brown had a bunch of missed tackles. And then from a protecting the pass, we were like half a second late on so many. There was a touchdown in the second half. Stukes was barely late, swatting it, ran a slant in the middle. Gunner, couple plays early in I think it was the first half. That Wyson kid was pretty good too from New Mexico, but it was just like a half second late. And I know those things can get fixed. I hear you. I trust Akina as well, but as Akina would say, show me, don't tell me. So I'm
profound.
Akina has said that many times this offseason, show me, don't tell me. So I'm a little over the excuse from Brennan, all the guys saying, hey, we're going to fix it. We have time. It's like, okay, cool. But show me, and we should beat NAU this weekend by 80 and not let up a single point.
And hopefully that's, the tackling gets better there. The offseason was defending our linebacker room to my to 9 and 2 on a every other day basis, saying I'm not worried. That was one of their worries heading into the season. Hand up. Yeah. I am now worried because outside of Jacob Manu, Tay Brown played most of the snaps. He's a big physical kid.
Yeah,
but
he'll hit you.
He'll hit you. I rather play Genesis Smith play 4 safeties
or Owen Goss,
especially against a spread it out team. That's kind of why I was defending Akina or the linebacker room all season. Was like Akina will make adjustments. We're playing in the Big 12, spread it out. We're gonna have 4 safeties on the field at a lot of times because Dalton, Genesis, Maldonado, and Stukes are all good tacklers, and I'm not really worried about them. But they all had their missed tackles, whatever. The whole team did. But that was a little concerning how much he played, especially because he did not jump off the charts in terms of his performance. And
especially because there are options, right? I don't want to butcher his name, but 18, the kid from Hawaii, he played a lot last year. He's a leaner linebacker, but he can play. We have that 6th-year LSU Tulane transfer, Small, right? Jared Small, I think his name is. It was kind of weird and odd to me that Tay Brown got so many reps, but I almost wonder if this was
one solo tackle, starting middle linebacker.
If you're in the box and you only have one starting, if you're in the box and you're starting and he probably played 60, 70 snaps on D, you gotta have more than one tackle. I don't know what to tell you.
That's kind of where I'm at. I also want to talk a little bit about Lance Kinley. Nothing about his play. Don't really have any insight there. Brother, as a white defensive end, you cannot have no swagger. You can't have no armbands, no gloves, no tape, nothing. You can't just roll out there naked arms, pads, and just cleats. No, you look like you're running late to football practice and you forgot all your shit. You're giving weird vibes when you run out of the field with no gloves, no tape, no wristbands, nothing. You gotta put on one. Just you only need one little wristband.
Please.
It's hard to watch, honestly. It doesn't I would run at you every time if I was the offense coordinator. I'd be like, all right, no swag, no gloves.
None.
Get out of here.
There was none of that. And
I feel a lot better now, by the way. I did.
You got that off your chest. It's needed.
I couldn't believe it, dude. That just
and I was looking for a picture here to maybe present to the audience, but part of your swagger comment, I actually added this note too. So telepathy again. His pants were below his knee.
It was everything, dude.
And that is like a 7th grader playing Pop Warner, where you have your pants are a little too big, you have too big of knee pads. So you add in everything you said. No wristbands, no gloves, no nothing. He's this white boy wearing number 90, whatever it is.
Yeah. 90.
And then his knees, his pants were below his knees, the top of his calf. And he just looked like a 7th grader that was in way too big of a jersey. And there was no swagger.
He was wearing cricket shin guards or like hockey goalie. It was, dude, I'll buy you a wristband if there's none left. I got you, dude. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
No, I'm with you. And then the last thing I'll say on the defensive line, Trey Smith, I had alluded to his stats. He had 6 QB pressures on Saturday night. Didn't get home with the sack. Close on a couple. I'm okay with that. I believe in him. I think he's a really good player. He's 6'5", 270 off the edge. The problem I had, and maybe this is a scheme thing. I don't know what you think, Jay, but he was 2 yards off the line of scrimmage for most of the game in a 2-point stance. And I'm okay with an edge playing, an outside linebacker playing on the edge in a 2-point stance. I mean, Micah Parsons does it all day. I'm not saying that. Why was he 2 yards off the ball?
It's like running shotgun on the 1 yard line. It's like you're putting yourself in an immediate disadvantage.
I rewatched the film because I'm a certified ball knower. I think you are as well. I rewatched
CBK.
the film.
Yeah.
He played in the second half, 3-point stance off the edge, and he was way quicker off the line. He was in the face of that quarterback. It's like, stop getting cute. Put your hand in the dirt, go attack the quarterback, and let's stop trying to be cute about it.
If it was faster to not have your hand down, the 100-meter sprinters would start standing up. Like, there's a reason why. Like, get off the damn ball, get your nose right on that line of scrimmage.
That's a ball knower take.
Yeah. See that
100%.
Connecting a real sport and not a sport together?
Yeah. Ooh,
just
this segment of what isn't a sport is brought to you by
Sports Authority. Get out and play. Thank you for Sports Authority being fantastic partners. That was always my go-to to get my swagger when I played back in the day.
It's true.
Go to Sports Authority, get ready, get that visor, play with it for a half, realize I can't see shit, take it off. But I would buy it every year. So shout out to everyone who understands the Sports Authority grind. They've been awesome.
There was a game in high school. You had a visor on, a neck roll, and a cast because you broke your hand. Yeah. And you were like a creative player in college football 25.
It's my screensaver on my cell phone still.
Yeah, I'll hold any future comments, but that's
a joke. It's my kids, of course, because I'm a good father. But thank you to Sports Authority for being great partners of ours.
That's incredible.
Let's do a little recap on some other games. You ready?
Yeah. Born ready.
Oh, real quick on Arizona. Sorry. I want us to play less receivers. That's just the pro model last year of playing just 3 guys. I kind of disagreed with that. It worked, and we throw in Devin Hyatt on one play, throw him a slant, off his hands pick. It's just reps, man. Like, I know that we had, word coming out of camp heading into the season that like 8 guys were going to see the field.
Yep.
5 max, 5-man rotation maximum, and one of them's to give T-Mac a break when he's completely gassed, and then the other is when Patterson gets snapped in half for being 140 pounds. So
and I agree with that. I am more specifically, I'm done with Montana Lamonius Craig. I think you have better options behind him.
I like Montana. I don't like that take. I like Montana.
What do you like about him?
He blocks well.
Okay.
He understands his role.
Okay.
He makes some contested catches.
When?
I think he's a glue guy. I don't know. You're not supposed to actually.
Well, no, but if you're going to disagree with my take, like, have a example why.
He's a bigger physical receiver that I think complements the other guys. We have the small, speedy guy, got the tight end room. Need to get Burnett the ball
balls over the weekend.
Yeah. I'm still a believer. I think he's like a huge untalked about piece on the from a culture standpoint for this team. I think he doesn't get enough love, and I think that he gets PT for his stuff that doesn't show up in the the stat line.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you would rather play a culture guy over somebody that can make more plays than someone sitting behind him. Is that what I'm hearing, Seven?
Yeah, I would just my high school coaching career lasted a year. So,
dude, he dropped 2 balls. Every time he jogged back to the huddle after he dropped the ball, he looked like he just didn't care. Yes, culture guy, whatever. He blocks well. Great. Then put him at tight end.
Yeah.
There are way better options. Malachi Riley had one catch over the weekend? Malachi Riley had 1 catch over the weekend. It was a 5-yard out. He made 2 guys miss and get to 9 yards. He is way more dynamic and such a better complement to Tetsuo McMillan than Lamonius Craig is. Lamonius Craig doesn't do anything for this offense at all.
All right. I'm going to give him a chance. He was a big piece last year, so there's no reason, in my opinion, to move on from him in game 1. Also, I love how into moving players you are. Like, you're just like, fuck it. Just send them to, like, last week.
Why
you're
not?
Like, I like it. I like it.
They're athletes.
You've been playing so much college football video game where you get to change the positions heading into Dynasty that you now are just like, you're like, that guy's a tight end. Maybe
I
not.
felt this way before the game. I've been using that feature a ton in the college football game. Don't get me wrong. But Lamonius Craig is 6'2", 220. Like, put him at tight end.
Yeah.
And
Small
back
tight
to
end.
my point last week, Tyron Gonzalez should 100% be playing defensive line. If he's not going to play on the offensive line, he's
I'm with you on
6'6",
that.
330.
I'm with you on
What are
that.
we doing?
At least try.
So-
Maybe they have. Maybe if, look, when
Yeah.
Brent, when you listen to this next press conference, can you just comment on that for us? Because that is something that's keeping I'm more so thinking about my brother. It's keeping him up, I think, a little bit.
Hey, I appreciate you looking out for me. That's
Always.
nice.
Always.
That's bro love.
bro love. Bro love.
All right, can
cousin
we
love.
talk some of the other West Coast games this past weekend?
I would love to. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with University of Nevada at Las Vegas, UNLV. I know Houston is in a juggernaut in the Big 12, but man, they went in on the road, took care of business. I watched most of that game.
Yeah.
I had a little action, a little sprinkle.
Sprinkle.
And
Union?
they just dominated Houston.
Yeah.
They have a great offense coordinator with that Marion guy. I can't believe he's still at UNLV for the record. But man, that team is good, like legitimately good. And they just took care of business. I was very impressed with that game.
Yeah, UNLV, like in this era of college football, I think there's a little money in Vegas and money laundering. I think NIL is a great way to wash money personally.
We agree 100%.
Who's to say they didn't give him a bag? Give him that Kevin Durant crypto contract, right? That was the rumors. But no, that was, they kept a lot of their guys. There were a few. I know that middle backer we were trying to get in the portal. We were trying to maybe target the OC heading in. They were able to keep a lot of pieces. And yeah, Houston might be one of the lower half Big 12 teams. But from a Mountain West perspective, UNLV's top 2, top 3. You put them up there. Boise, Georgia Southern scored 40-something points on them.
Yeah.
And
I think if we're talking UNLV, in 2 weeks on Friday, September 13th, so less than 2 weeks, our boys go to Kansas State. The same night, UNLV goes to Kansas. So we have some electric games in the state of Kansas on Friday the 13th. Should be pretty fun. Like, Kansas is good, but man, they better watch out for UNLV. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah,
very, very fun game.
It's gonna be a blast. Yeah, that game was awesome. That was not on my big board of games to bet, or I thought Houston would just take care of them. The dumb gambler in me goes like, okay, recruiting wise, Houston versus UNLV. Houston wins. They win the game. And
every time.
It's the beauty of football. There's a lot more that goes into it, man. There's a lot more that goes into it. Yes, sir.
Strap it up.
Yep. No, it was that was awesome. Seeing USC as a West Coast podcast take care of LSU was glorious. I usually don't find myself rooting for SC very much, but against LSU, that's easy. And talk about defense. You mentioned it earlier, but those boys were balling, and I haven't seen a SC defense like that since I was like in middle school.
Yeah, mid 2000s.
Yeah,
that was fun.
And talk about what's his name at the end of his press conference. Just seeing LSU, Brian Kelly, in his press conference.
I know what you're about to say.
That dude is cringe. Yeah. That guy is absolute cringeworthy, and the little on the table, like I don't know what to equate it to other than the fact that he doesn't care. I don't know. He didn't.
What is he making? $10 million a year? Like, why should he care?
He's just a little bit better of a coach than Kevin Sumlin, but just collecting that. He knows when to leave a program, and he might not have the choice to leave a program by himself after losing 4 straight openings.
I think Cole reminded us it is I don't know how many. I think he is at 3, but LSU as a whole is at 5 straight season openers that they have lost.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, but SC's going to be a contender. I didn't think that their defense would get that much better. And
I mean, this is where the transfer portal, right? Like they got a bunch of dudes. Like people forget about Mason Cobb, right? From Oklahoma State a couple of years ago. The dude's a monster. He played really, really good. They got that Ramsey kid from UCLA, safety. And then they still have Bear Alexander. They have that kid from A&M, forgetting his name. He's a Phoenix product.
Lucas,
So
yeah,
we'll claim him. He balled out.
Chaparral.
So yeah, they have a lot of talent on that defense, but Anthony Lynn, right? I mean, he showed how to coach a defense full of 4 and 5 stars. Took care of business, so it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Phoenix high school football was very well represented on SC. I was realizing not maybe a ton of guys, like from a numbers perspective, but all the dudes that were playing. Covington, the transfer from Washington, started corner. Mm-hmm. You had Lucas from Scottsdale, who transferred A&M. You obviously got Payne, the left tackle, who everyone, I mean, he's a mammoth of a human from
Elijah
Pinnacle.
Payne. Yep.
Elijah Payne. Then you have the other kid from Pinnacle, the wideout, what's his name? Deuce Robinson.
Yep.
He's
tight
from
end,
Pinnacle.
But
they list him at a wideout. I thought
Really?
they could have gotten him the ball more. Yeah, they do. They do. 6'6", 220. But yeah, he's a stud. So, and then number 8, for blanking on his name, what is that? Jacoby Lane.
Yep.
He's from Mesa.
Yep.
I mean, and he scored that touchdown. So
Red
very
Mountain,
well represented.
Red Mountain High School. Yeah, man. I mean, USC's figured it out, and I think the guy that was the Arizona coach before figured it out. But Phoenix might be the most untapped market of high school talent
Oregon
in the country.
Oregon's known it for 15 years.
Yeah, Oregon too. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So got to get out to some games this year. There's some talent here.
It's amazing what getting rid of Alex Grinch did for USC, though, huh?
Dude, like maybe the worst defense coordinator of all time.
It's in as Arizona fans, we've seen some pretty bad ones, but he's the worst.
Yeah, it was Yates equivalent, but he had better talent at SC, so it almost.
I think Yates would be a better. Yates is at Texas Tech, by the way. I think Yates would be better than Grinch, by the way. Yeah,
dude.
No doubt. So
yeah, he had naughty pictures of what's his name of because he just wrote his coattails forever. Yeah. No, not of Sumlin, of Lincoln Riley.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Like how did he keep bringing him back? Like Oklahoma's defenses were the reason why they could never get over the hump too. So.
Yep. And then the last one I'll bring up to recap week 1 from West Coast. Fresno battled Michigan. Michigan won by 20, but that was because of a late pick 6. I thought Fresno State looked actually really good. They should be a threat in the Mountain West this year. And Michigan continues to just be fraudulent. They can't win without cheating. I'm just kidding. They did win that game. I know Jason hates when I bring that up, but I wasn't impressed with Michigan.
Our high school coaches were trying to steal signs.
Yeah. No, I know.
Everyone's trying to steal signs. Our high school coaches were trying to. Like, they didn't ever steal them because they were idiots.
Michigan looked terrible. They're about to get murdered this weekend by Texas. So, anyway, that was a shout out to Fresno in a losing effort. They battled very valiantly on the road against the defending national champions. Tough little team over there in Fresno for sure.
Yeah. Always got a program there. And to think that that's where DeBoer was at, then Tedford comes back and just continues the little bulldog train over there. So, yeah, it's fun. Mountain West is going to be fun. I'm excited to see San Diego State finally have an offense this year. All things considered.
See?
Yeah. So,
shout out to all of our state fans listening.
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yep. So, well, from a bigger landscape in college football, looking forward, we got a great slate Saturday.
Yep.
We were talking, we got 2 Big 12 ACC matchups, 3 Big 12 SEC, another West Coast SEC, Cal, Auburn, and then we got 3 Big 12 versus Big 10. This is going to be, when you think about, like, we talked about it, but like if you go listen to what the next push is for the ACC and the Big 12 to be relevant. It's the next media contract. And those contracts are going to look at records and, who's watching the games, and it's eyes, right? Eyes are what pay the bill. And this is going to be a good little game from or good little weekend from that perspective. Colorado, Nebraska, just so epic that game's back just as a regular thing. Hopefully, I don't know if they signed another home and away, but
and this is going to be big because this is going to be big for our podcast 7 because we have rooted ourselves as West Coast Big 12 homers. We have a lot of games this week that are going to prove whether the West Coast and the Big 12 can compete. You said it, 3 Big 12 SEC, 3 Big 12 Big 10. That alone is going to be fun. There's some unfavorable matchups with like Houston at Oklahoma. Houston's garbage. We touched on it. Cal, Auburn. Auburn is heavy favorites, but we'll see if Cal can hang. But I'm really excited about seeing if this podcast, and we might be done after this episode. If it's over this weekend, this might be it. We might have to shut it down and tell everybody. But I do want to focus in on the Colorado-Nebraska game, and I'm gonna put our boy Cole on the spot here as the resident CU fan. Cole, you still there with us? Let's bring you on. What are you thinking about this weekend, CU-Nebraska?
I mean, where to start? I mean, I watched a bit of the Nebraska. I mean, I put it on. Me and my roommate had the quad box on the TV and then a game on his iPad, and we put the Nebraska UTEP game on. And I saw Dylan Raiola walk out there with the same exact fit as Patrick Mahomes. And it just disgusted me, man. I don't. And the worst part is like he's really good. And I think what worries me is the fact that Matt Rule has flipped like every program that he's ever taken over,
except the Carolina Panthers. But keep going.
Well, yeah, but
we're talking college.
Some college coaches can't be NFL coaches. Urban Meyer, for example. So,
you got a little too handsy.
Yeah, but flipping Raiola to Nebraska from Georgia.
His dad went to Nebraska, though.
I know.
He wanted to go to Nebraska the whole time.
Yeah, but still, I mean, so it sucks too because like no one does anything in Nebraska except go to those games, so it's going to be packed.
Sure.
Stadium Pulse.
Yeah.
College Football 25, whatever.
So Nebraska's a 7.5 point favorite. Cole, what's your prediction? Does Colorado cover that or win?
I think we cover it but lose.
Okay.
Ooh. 34-31.
Yeah.
34-28.
Yeah. Because I believe more than anything in Travis Hunter, best player in college football.
We could have a pencil in a debate of T-Mac versus Travis.
No. I didn't say best wide receiver. I said best player. There's a difference. T-Mac is the best wide receiver.
I can make an argument that T-Mac is the best player.
Okay. But can Hunter play beach volleyball? That's what I thought. Right. No, we appreciate that insight. I think that's going to be a good game. I do want to spend a minute talking about Raiola. Here's my take. He scored 7 points total his senior year in the 2 games against Basha. One regular season game, 1 high school. I know Basha won the Open Division State Championship in Arizona. They're loaded. Desmond Williams up at that purple school. If you are the best player in America, it was his junior year because he spent his senior year in Georgia. So forgive me. Still, juniors now in high school for starters are 19 years old because their dad's holding back. And Smart. I'm going to do it too. I'm not hating. But you can't, if you're the best player in America, you cannot score 7 points total against high school defense. I don't give 2 rips about how good a defense is. If you're the best player in America, you're Patrick Mahomes equivalent. You're going to rock out with the same swagger. You can't do it. So my take is that when Nebraska does not play UTEP at home, I think we're going to get a little bit of a clearer picture into the real.
So are you predicting Colorado to win?
I mean, it depends on how many personal fouls Shiloh Sanders gets, but I think that there is an opportunity there. But, I mean, North Dakota State, it's a great program. I think it gives us a better – like, who's better? Who would win, UTEP or North Dakota State?
North Dakota State.
North Dakota State.
Yeah.
So, and from
But
a style
Nebraska
of,
dominated UTEP. Don't forget
Yeah.
that.
yeah, no, I agree. But show me, don't tell me, right? Nebraska hasn't been able to do anything against Colorado the last couple of matchups. So
It's true.
I'm riding with the Buffs.
I like that.
I'm gonna take that 7.5.
Flip it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So thanks, Cole. Appreciate
Yes,
you
sir.
giving us your insights as the resident Buff here. That game's gonna be epic. 4:30 primetime game. I mean, that stadium's gonna be absolutely rocking.
It's gonna be rocking, and we'll see. We were chatting a little bit during the CU North Dakota State game. We were not impressed with the Colorado defense. I mean, there was a lot of hype around kind of beefing up the lines and all that. I thought personally, I don't know your take. I thought personally that the problem with CU's defense wasn't a problem of talent; it was a problem of scheme. There was no.
They didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything. There's no diversity in their stunt packaging, how they were, handling the line of scrimmage, blitzes from the safeties. It was very, very boring and predictable. And that North Dakota State quarterback, who's good, don't get me wrong, he was kind of able to keep them in that game just by using his feet and even running the ball. They were able to do that.
Yeah.
So I like your CU call. I'm down with the 7.5 points. I'll definitely tease that little sprinkle.
I also I love
not
seeing
going money line.
Nebraska fans miserable.
It's a college football tradition unlike any other.
It's I get it. They had their era. They found out about steroids before everyone else. Kudos to you and the Russian gymnastics team. You guys kind of have that over everyone else forever. I don't know. Prove it beforehand. So I'm riding with the Buffs.
I like it.
Their defense, I hope they were just trying to play. I don't think so. They got a new DC, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And it looked like the same. Every time that quarterback broke out of the pocket up the middle, it happened like 3 or 4 times. There was not anyone within 20 yards of him, and Shiloh Sanders came up from literally like 25, 30 yards every single time. And he made the tackle. Kudos to him, but most of the time, I think. But how is there – you have a pretty mobile quarterback. Run a stunt. Run a stunt and have your DN come inside and take that away, because he was dropping back 2.5, 3 seconds out up the middle. He did it multiple times, and it just felt like there was no originality. And now I feel like I'm talking myself out of my Colorado call as we speak. But I'm riding with the Buffs, so that's where I'm at.
All right, I like it.
What's your thoughts on Iowa State? Does that game get your blood boiling, or is there another game in that trio of games that kind of piques your interest more?
Iowa State's always interesting. Having a rivalry game in week 2 is rare, so that's fun. I personally think Iowa covers that 2.5. To be honest, I think they figured out a little bit of an offense in that second half last week.
Shout out Tim Lester.
Elmhurst, college finest. And I think Iowa will kind of take care of business, especially at home. I think I'd have a different opinion if it was at Iowa State. The Okie State Arkansas game, I know that's Big 12 SEC matchup. That'll be interesting. Okie State gets it at home, so I'm excited about that. The school up north in Arizona, they play Mississippi State. I value West Coast even over that rivalry, so I'm hoping they beat Mississippi State. I know that maybe some would disagree with me, but that is where that's
gonna be a fun game.
Yeah, I mean Mississippi State isn't all that good, so ASU, based off what they did last week, should be able to handle. Yeah. So there's some fun games this weekend, though. I'm really excited, and I think the podcast itself is kind of resting on how this slate goes. So we'll track that. We'll make sure we follow up. We'll hand to heart, right? Like if it's a bad week, we'll address it. But we're predicting that the Big 12 and the West Coast is going to come out on top.
Yeah. What do you think about Oregon getting 19.5 against Boise? I know it's at home. And I
That one
know
is
that
hard.
like the Idaho game, they could have gone out, not given an A effort there.
Yeah.
But like I'm gonna take Boise in the points. That's so many points.
The struggle I have with it is the jump that every coach says from week 1 to week 2, right? Brennan talked about it at Arizona. Every coach talks about it. It's like week 1 is kind of working out the kinks. So I believe in Oregon. Remember last week, they are my Big Ten champ prediction. I still stand by that. So do they kind of figure it out? Do they click a little bit, and do they just handle business, 42-14? I could see it.
Yeah.
I can see that. So I think I'm right with Oregon just because where my futures lie.
That line feels like a trap too. Like it's just
exactly.
baiting you to take Boise 19.
It wants you to take Boise. It's like it's way too many points, but Oregon is still Oregon. They have so much talent over there. So I think they take care of business. I think they cover, honestly. Yeah.
I think I might be with you on that actually now because that's a trap game. That's a trap game all day. SCSU, Oregon State will be fun. Texas Tech, Wazoo, Baylor, Utah.
Some fun West Coast matchups.
I don't feel like we have the like. I mean, we have Texas, Michigan, which we can talk about here in a sec. That's kind of the one like top 10 matchup. We had like 4 big games over the weekend, which you'd expect week 1. This slate's a little bit more open, where like last week you either had the big games or you had the, group of 5 or even like FCS teams playing a Power 5 team. So this week's going to be a little bit more parity, I think. And from a gambling perspective, I think there's more money to be won, boys. There's more money to be won, brothers.
There's a lot of money. I heard Vegas handing out free money. So I
got that same email.
You got that email?
Yep.
It was the only insiders. So, we're giving you free insider on Vegas. They're handing out free money this weekend. My free money that I'm handing out is Oregon minus 19.5. I think Colorado minus 7.5.
You're riding.
I'm riding, baby. And then I think the school up north in Arizona is going to cover that 6 against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So those are kind of 3 I'm looking into to go maybe heavy, sprinkle heavy.
Yeah, I like that out of you. Like that out of you. I'll be riding with you. We'll be posting our picks as well, so be on the lookout. And if they lose, you're an idiot for following us.
I wouldn't follow me. Unless I win, I would follow me. Let's wrap it up. I think you want to cover this. We talked about it last week. Brothers or twins of the week. What you got?
It was a good week for brothers, or weekend for brothers. The fun part, and please, if you find out about any brothers, whether they're twins or not, tweet at us at our socials. There's our handle right there. Point us to the brothers. There's a lot of same last names on rosters, so it's a little hard to always figure out.
True.
There's 17 Smiths or Johnsons, right? Who's the brother, who's not. But we start with Idaho. They have 4 sets of brothers. Jack Lane, identical twin, QB against Oregon on the road. 11 for 25, 168, 1 tutty. His identical twin did not play. So, I really want to pass it over to Tyler.
Support.
I want Tyler to kind of chime in about, what it's like watching your brother play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Watching
your brother
all
play
day to do that.
Yeah, that was pretty well played. I didn't expect that.
Did that hurt?
A little bit. I mean,
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that.
It's a depressing picture I'm looking at.
Being a supportive twin brother isn't always easy, but it's a role that, you have to accept and acknowledge. And if you don't want to accept and acknowledge, you got to get off that roster. So hopefully that kid kind of knows his role and is just being a good support, getting his brother orange slices, Gatorade, whatever he needs. To really keep the family name, in good stature as he's playing the game, and the other guy is on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of other brothers who are going to be handing out oranges within the next couple of years, Shiloh Sanders and Shadir Sanders. Shiloh Sanders, we mentioned it earlier. Dude, like, you're not even trying to hide it. I honestly don't think if your last name wasn't Sanders, he would have been kicked out of that game. He should have been. That was outrageous what he was doing and getting away with. And I just can't believe that. Like, we talk about these teams and conferences having a little bit of moxie because they're in the Big Ten, but they're Rutgers or they're Minnesota,
Sure.
and they're riding the coattails of two teams, right? Talk about riding the coattails of not only your father, but even worse, your brother. Like, he couldn't be fine tackler. It's always 15 yards downfield though. So it's like, okay, cool. And he hits everyone late, always targeting. I just am so angry at how much he gets away with, and I want him off my television screen yesterday.
I agree with you. I would compare Shiloh Sanders to Bronny James. The only reason he will join an NFL roster is because who his brother and who his dad is. Shout out to Bronny, shout out to Shiloh. If you can finesse your way into the professional sports, I'm not hating, but there is no way Shiloh Sanders is a starting safety in the NFL. And again, like, fine open field tackler, not a lot of elite speed. His defensive coordinators are not doing him any service by putting him 15 yards off the ball every play against a team that wants to throw 5-yard outs. But it is what it is. So yeah, Shiloh Sanders, dirtiest player in America, clearly. He's the Bronny James of college football.
Being Bronny's cool. You're the son, but like being the son and brother, like, you don't want to be Shiloh. It's cool to be Bronny. Don't want to be Shiloh. Shout out to Shiloh LaBeouf. I know it's not even the same name, but I know he got brought up, so wanted to just mention him real quickly. Staying in that same game, identical twins Eli and Will Mozart.
Yes.
D tackles for North Dakota State.
Electric.
That is the most badass position, to be identical twins playing the same position.
Absolutely.
We were lucky enough to play our senior year of high school, 7 and 9 at Middlebacker together. Super cool. D tackle's way cooler.
Absolutely.
And they ball. 5 tackles for Eli, 2 for Will, 4 solo for Eli at D tackle.
And then Will had a sack and a half. He had a half a sack. Sorry,
half a sack. Yeah.
Yeah, they balled out against pretty good team in Colorado. Like those twins got it going on. Hey, do we know, are they Eli and Will? Are they identical or fraternal?
I'm just going off their pictures that I was looking at earlier.
Yeah, I'm
gonna guess identical.
Yeah. No, they get an extra point. We favor identical twins.
So they're number one on the best brother.
Yeah, we'll be tracking them all year. We love Eli and Will. Shout out Eli and Will. Just balling out over there in North Dakota. Come on the pod. Yeah, let's go.
Come on the pod.
Love to have you. Love to have you.
Yeah, and then 2 shout outs again. I'm gonna just mention them again. They're not blood brothers, but they are brothers in arms. Tedero McMillan and Noah Fatita.
Great shout out.
I'll do anything for those boys. Those guys are just
well, and you mentioned it. We hyped up T-Mac quite a bit at the beginning of the show, and rightfully so. Noah's performance was a little underrated. 422 yards. I think I read it was his sixth career game. He's like, this is his 13th career start with and 6 of those games he had over 400 yards. He threw 4 touchdowns, all to T-Mac. And then he did have that one pick, but Jason, I think you mentioned earlier in the episode, tip ball on a slant that should have been caught, back up wide out. I mean, shouldn't have been a pick, but it's on the stats. It is what it is. But he balled out. He had a great game.
A little sprinkle for the boys out there. Tedero McMillan Heisman odds Saturday during the game were plus 10,000. I may have sprinkled a little bit on that at halftime. I don't know what the odds are at now, but just think about it. Just maybe worth $10, 10 to 1,000. I'm not a math guy. I
think that's pretty good though.
I like that. Yeah, that's one Chipotle burrito. Good. That's like half a Chipotle burrito. Now you add guac, get out of here. Yeah. You're at $15, $20. Yeah. So
it's absurd. It's absurd.
But no, it's a great slate headed up. It was a great week 1. And we got a lot of good stuff to be looking forward to. NAU, U of A on Saturday. We're excited. And there's a lot of other great games as well. So appreciate everyone joining. That's it for episode 1 of the All Knowers podcast. I am Jason. and my co-host Tyler signing off.
Peace.